नारायणेन स्वयं
अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणी भगवती दशात्मकलिपि तत्त्वामनुसन्ततामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणी.
Verse 6. Happy Vijayadashami.
And the 4 and 5 all of you went through, right?
There are 1 or 2 doubts and later on I'll...
Yeah.
Happy Vijayadashami.
Home. Happy Vijayadashami to all. Thank you for the contribution sent, all of you.
Namaskar. Verse 6. Krishna explains with an illustration. Yatakasastido nityam vayu sarva
Yata akasastito nityam. That way, yeah.
Yata akasastito nityam vayu sarvatra mahan tada sarvani bhutani mastani tyupadaraya. Yata, just as mahan vayuhu, vast air, sarvatragaha, which goes everywhere, nityam akashastitaha, always exists in space, tata, similarly, sarvani bhutani matstani, all beings exist in me, iti upadaraya, thus may you understand. Just as the vast air, which goes everywhere, always exists in space, similarly may you understand that all beings exist in me. The word yata means just as. Shankara says here it means just as in the word. So just as in the word vayu, air, sarvatraga, which moves from one place to another, nityam, akastitaha, always exist in space, tata, in the same manner, all beings exist in me, Ishvara. As Vayu moves from Kansas to New York, or from that to India, it goes to a new place but not to a new space. Sarvatra means everywhere, and Ga means the one who goes. Thus Vayu is called Sarvatra. It means that there is no place where he will not go, which is why he is also called Mahan. The word Mahan describes the dimension, that is pervasiveness of Vayu. In terms of pervasiveness, Vayu is Mahan, great. So too may you understand that all beings remain in me. Let them go anywhere, they are still in me. Just as how Vayu, no matter where it goes, is never away from Akasha. Similarly, all the Bhutas, whatever form they may assume, remain in me. However, there is no burden imposed upon Atma by all these things, all these beings existing in me, in it. There is no imprint left in space by Vayu. The space is limitless, all pervasive, and it is Asanga, unconnected to Vayu. Even though Vayu cannot exist without space, it has its being in Akasha alone and it moves around in Akasha. The example is used only to illustrate that Atma is also Asanga. It is unattached to anything, yet nothing is ever away from Atma. As Vayu moves all over but never moves away from space, all the Bhutas can move from one place to another. All the worlds may come into being and collapse, but they are never away from Atma. If the soul goes from here to Brahma Loka, the whole movement is in Brahman. The soul is Brahman, the Jagat is Brahman. There is nothing that is away from Brahman. If the self-conscious being moves from one place to another, the movement is in Satta, existence. The soul is, that is Brahman, Atma. Therefore, it can never go away from Brahman. When you go to Brahmaloka, you are still the same Brahman. Even here, you are Brahman. When you can recognize this here, Why should you go elsewhere to recognize it? The whole movements, the entire beings, transactions, and any kind of coming, going, and hiding are all in Brahman. Why does he say that all of them are in Brahman instead of saying all of them are Brahman? It is to make it clear that I remains untouched. Saying in me is like saying in space. Just as Vayu moves in space, leaving no imprint upon space, in the same way, all these beings exist in Atma Chaitanya and yet leave no imprint on Atma Chaitanya. May you recognize this clearly, Upadaraya.
Upadaraya means Dharanam. Dharanam means understand it clearly. Which in the Manasila Vangikon சொல்றோம் இல்லையா in Tamil. It is exactly Manasila Vangiக்கிறது தான் Dharanam. Upadaraya.
When Bhagavan says, Mastani, they exist in me, he is talking about Sthitikala, the period of time when things exist. At the time of their existence, all names and forms have their being in Param Brahma, like even the air that moves and has its being in space. There are three aspects to any created thing: Srishti, its creation; Sthiti, existence or sustenance; and Laya, its destruction. Brahman is the cause for all these. If you have to ask what happens during the destruction, Laya Kale.
Verse 7. At the time of dissolution, all beings go to my Prakriti. Sarva Bhutani Kaunteya Prakritim Yanti Mamikam Kalpakshaye Punastani Kalpato Visvijamyaham. Kaunteya or Arjuna, Kalpakshaye, at the dissolution of the cycle of creation, Sarva Bhutani, all beings, Mamikam Prakritim, to my Prakriti, Yanti, go, Punaha, again, Kalpa Adau, at the beginning of the cycle, Aham, I, Tani, Visijami, create them. All beings, Kaunteya, Arjuna, go to my Prakriti at the dissolution of the cycle of creation. Again, at the beginning of the cycle, I create them. All beings, sentient and inert, Sarva Bhutani, go to my Prakriti, Mamikam, Prakritim Yanti. He does not say to me, but to my Prakriti. In saying this, Krishna reveals a fact. When one cycle comes to an end, it is called Kalpakshaya, the completion or exhaustion of the cycle. At this time, all beings go into a state of dissolution in my Prakriti. We will not translate the word Prakriti here. Again, Punaha, Kalpa Adau, in the beginning of the cycle, Tani Visujami Aham, I release them, I project them. Here, we prefix to the verb Suj in Visujami means I create each one as it was in the previous cycle. So the creation is the same as it was in all other cycles. To fulfill the karmas of the jivas, again the cycle begins. Then it dissolves, and from the dissolved state again the creation arises. The created world has its being in me, and the dissolved world goes into my upadhi. What is this upadhi, and why should the Lord bring it in? Why should he not say, it goes back into me? A pot, for instance, comes out of clay and goes back to the clay. The clay does not say, it goes back to my upadhi.
So the upadhi word is very clear. We have discussed this a lot of times. Upadhi is nothing but upadai in Tamil. So if we keep that, and also in English, construct, adjunct, like in theorem, rider and all I had told. It's purely a prakriya, a model by which Srishti, Sthiti and all the changing world, changing Jagat is explained for us because we deal with it, we experience it. So there should be a validation, there should be a, what you call, that can be understood by thinking mind, what it is all about, how it goes about. That a prakriya is explained by the rishis, because the rishis are also human beings like you and me. They know exactly what is the transacted world, how people are transacting. They need validation. Now that till the time they understand the reality, they have to be validated. Why somebody is born, why somebody is gone, etc., etc. So for that validation purpose, a model is given. That model is upadhi. That is called prakriti. That is why he said, we will discuss it later. And Bhagavan himself doesn't say that everything comes back to me. He says it comes back to my upadhi. Because he also, he wants to use it very safely. Because the reality is only me. Which if we understand, the upadhi can be left out as upadhi. We don't need the prakriya. As I was telling, you don't need a construction or a rider for solving a rider. For solving a theorem, you don't need the construction. Once you understand, you can neglect it. You know, even when we are doing the sum, we will remove that. Right? Thereafter, we will not use. Like a plus b whole square, as I was telling, that we will not put that square on side A and square on side B and square on side C and say this square plus this square equal to this square. You can cut and paste. We can cut and paste and show. See, that square and this square comes into this square. 3 square plus 4 square equal to 5 square. But at the end of the day, once we understand, when we go to the graduate into the next class, we don't need that squares. We know that the right angle triangle means 3 square plus 4 square equal to 5 square. We will explain that, we will assume it and go ahead with our next, we will graduate into the next class. We will not need the upadhi. Likewise, once we understand, like my Swarupa and Ishvara's Swarupa are one and the same, everything else is only Maya, Upadhi, Prakriti, whatever you call it. Purusha alone is there. Prakriti is in Purusha. Purusha is not in Prakriti. That is what the Rasanga. Matstani sarva bhutani, nachamastani sarva bhutani. Once that is clearly understood, you don't need it. Till that time, you have to use this Prakriti. The whole Shastra uses it that way. That is why he says, the world does not go back to me, it goes back to my Upadhi, that he has told. That is why he has explained that. Yeah.
The existence and dissolution of a given object takes place in the place from which it arises. When the pot is destroyed, it goes back to its cause, the clay, and from that same cause is its creation. From the clay, the pot is born, into clay it dissolves, and while it exists, it has its existence in clay. What is under discussion here is the dissolution of the world into the Prakriti of Bhagavan. Since he says, it goes into my Prakriti, it can be like saying, it goes into my bank account. I am not my bank account, it is very clear. Similarly here, Bhagavan's Prakriti is the place where the created world dissolves. He says, the existence of the world is in me, Matstani, but its laya, dissolution, is into my Prakriti. This seems to be a contradiction because we have seen that if a thing has come from a given material cause, into that it resolves. If from Ishvara the world has come, into Ishvara the world should go back. Instead he says, it goes into my Prakriti. This is not a contradiction, but a deliberate expression. We will see why.
One more thing also we have said, last class or something, he was asking, the clay and all that. So why? Because you are asking, no, Kumar was asking, Krishna Kumar. Remember?
What's the question?
He was saying, no, the clay is not the clay, the pot and clay, pot goes back into clay. So clay is the reality of pot. Which I was telling.
He only asked.
Yeah, he only asked. That's what I'm telling. The same thing. The difference is clay and pot belongs to the same order of reality. The sense both are materials. Whereas, even in that case, clay rejects. He says, what clay, what pot? I don't know any pot. You are giving a name. Pot is called because of potness. And potness is called because of pot. That means what? Pot depends on potness and potness depends on pot. Unnala naan ketta, ennala nee ketta. So he says, clay rejects both of them. You guys get away. Yeah, I have nothing to do. I am clay. You exist because of me, that's a different thing, but I have nothing to do with you. The same way Bhagavan says, you exist because of me, but don't tell me that you get back to me. Prakriti is only a nama rupa. Like even pot and clay, pot and potness. The whole thing is Nama Rupa. Jagata Pitarav Vante
Parvati Parameshwara.
Parvati Parameshwara is like word and meaning. Jagata Parvati Parameshwara. Vak and Artham is the only reality. Padartha, which I have told before also. Padartha is the only creation. There is no other creation. Because you use a word, because you make use of things and you give it a name and you make use of it, you say that it exists. But Bhagavan is saying that there is no world other than me. So that is a Prakriti. The Prakriti is purely just a model till the time we understand the whole thing. The whole thing is a Maya, like a movie. The whole thing is happening in the changing world changes. The changeless remains unchanged. There is no truck with the changing world. But the changing world cannot remain without the changeless. Because I, the being, the Nirvishesha, gives satta and spurti to all name and form. Because of me, the world, yaar cholra? Only I say. World doesn't say that I am the world, there is a world. But I say there is a world. So once you disown it, the world doesn't exist. But that is the ultimate level of understanding. But till the time we all of us understand it's never going to happen, the world has to be validated. That is the model of Prakriti, Maya, Prakriti, all those things. Creation, Bharupam, like connected, connectivity, order, physical order, chemical order, physiological order, psychological order. All that is needed till the time. Because the Upanishad itself says, like even in the dream, it is available for transaction, it is available for modification, it is prayojanavat, a pot holds water, a clay cannot hold water. So, make use of it, fine, but don't say that is the reality. Reality is you, everything else is useful. But whatever is useful is Vidya. That doesn't mean Satyam is useless. Because without Satyam there is no Mithya. So these things, once it is clear, then this, whatever discussion we go through will be clear. Yeah.
Understanding the expression, my Prakriti. When Bhagavan says, Mat Stani Sarva Bhutani, all these beings have their being in me. Are they attributes of Paramatma? If so, Paramatma has the intrinsic attribute of the Jagat and is always Saguna. If it is the case, then Paramatma can never be free from those attributes. But our experience is entirely different. If we analyze the nature of Atma, we find it is free from all attributes. At any given moment, between two thoughts, what exists is Paramatma, which is Chaitanya, free from any form of limitation. Intrinsically, Paramatma is Nirguna, free from attributes. Only because of this is moksha possible. If Paramatma is intrinsically free from the Jagat, then when Bhagavan says Mat Stani, it exists in me. It is only through some other factor. That factor is what we call Maya. It is the Maya Upadhi that makes Paramatma into Ishvara. Purely due to Upadhi, Paramatma becomes all knowledge and all powerful, the creator of everything. Due to a similar type of Upadhi, you have limited knowledge, Alpajnatva and so on. As Atma, your Swarupa is Sat Chit Ananda. It is pure consciousness which is Satya and limitless. Then, how do you become one of limited knowledge, limited power and limited pervasiveness? It is due to Upadhi. Upadhi gives rise to a point of view. You view Atma from the standpoint of your physical, body-mind sense complex and say I am limited and so on. It is an unfortunate statement because it is not true. Atma has not become Alpajna, it continues to be Sat Chit Ananda, which is why I can say Tat Tvamasi, you are Sat Chit Ananda. If you ask Swamiji, if I am Sat Chit Ananda, how do I become Alpajna? The question itself is wrong. Sorry. Because Sat Chit Ananda does not become anything. If you are Sat Chit Ananda, you cannot become Alpajna. There is a notion that one was originally Sat Chit Ananda and gradually over a period of time, due to a number of births, became Alpajna. Then it has to evolve back. The contention is that we are all in the cycle of evolution. Evolution of what? If Sat Chit Ananda is to evolve, what will it become? Now it is limitless, free from attributes. Which part of Sat Chit Ananda evolves? How can Sat existence evolve? The evolution of existence is only destruction, but this is an existence that is limitless. There is no possibility of evolution for such an existence. Can consciousness evolve? Only a thing that has an attribute can evolve. But consciousness, which is pure existence, free from any attribute, cannot evolve.
This is what I am telling, keep on telling, Nirvisesha, Desa Kala Vastu Aparichinnam, not a thing. What is not a thing can never change. So that is what he means.
And as you see, it is limitless. Thus, there is no evolution for Sat Chit Ananda. Anything within samsara can evolve. You draw an arbitrary line and any development beyond that you can call evolution. The human body may be an evolute because the human mind has a better capacity than the minds of other life forms. But the one who determines this is an evolute, is Alpajna. And when you say Alpajnoham, I am of limited knowledge, that Aham remains Sat Chit Ananda. The property of Alpajnatva, limited knowledge, is purely an incidental attribute attributed to you by taking a point of view. For example, a modern artist may draw a table from the perspective of one who is looking at it from a position of laying down. It may not look like a table at all. It is just a perspective. That kind of table is not found anywhere. Similarly, you look at Satchidananda from the perspective of your limping physical body, your aging brain cells, etc. and say, I have limited power, limited knowledge, limited pervasiveness. It is a perspective. Although the drawing had something to do with the table, this perspective has nothing to do with the table. The same is true with Satchit Ananda Atma. If being limited is your view of yourself, it is due to Upadhi and has nothing to do with Satchit Ananda. The same Satchit Ananda appears as though it is Alpajna. Because it is limitless, there is nothing that is apart from Satchit Ananda. As the cause of everything, Satchit Ananda has to assume the status of being all knowledge, almighty, whom we call God, Ishvara. But the attributes like all knowledge and almighty are incidental attributes from the standpoint of the Jiva's way of looking at the world. And when you look at this world, the same Satchit Ananda becomes the onlooker as well as Ishvara, the cause of everything. All names are his names and all forms are his forms. Therefore, you have any number of words to describe Ishvara, which is due to Upadhi called Maya Upadhi or Prakriti Upadhi. So, when Krishna as Ishvara says, Sarva Bhutani, they are in me, he is also including the Maya Upadhi. Only then can he say, all the beings have their basis in me. He becomes the cause of everything due to Maya Upadhi. Through Maya Upadhi alone, all the beings have their being in Paramatma. By itself, Paramatma is free from the creation because it is free from all attributes. So, with Maya alone, does Bhagavan say, Mat Stani Sarva Bhutani. When you look at Paramatma as the cause of the entire Jagat, then Maya exists in Paramatma as its Shakti. In Maya alone, they exist and resolve, and from Maya, they are again born. Bhagavan and Maya are not two different entities. Now we have a problem. There is nothing else except Atma, Brahman. It is non-dual. If Brahman has Maya in itself, Brahman is one, Maya is another, and so we have two entities. If fundamentally there are two, there is multiplicity. This is not acceptable because Brahman is Advaya, non-dual. But when we say one is Brahman and the second is Maya, we really do not have this problem. It is because Maya is an interesting word. In Sanskrit, it is defined as follows. Ya ma sa maya.
This I have told many times. Ya ma sa maya. Yeah.
That which is not is Maya. That is to say, Maya has no independent reality. It really does not exist. From one standpoint there is Maya, from the other there is no Maya, only Brahman. If you look at Brahman as the cause of creation, it has Maya, which is why it is said Maya Sabalam Brahma.
Maya Sabalam Brahma.
Sabalam Brahma. From the standpoint of itself, there is no Maya, there is only Satchitananda. Maya is not an independent object enjoying a reality like Satchitananda Atma, because Maya is Mithya. And Mithya does not exist apart from the Adhisthana on which it is dependent on. Mithya is therefore Adhisthana Ananya. Just like your shirt that has no existence apart from its fabric, similarly, Maya is not a substance separate from Brahman. If it exists in its own right, you can say Maya and Brahman together create the world, and their getting together is the cause for creation. But they are not two independent factors because Maya is not independent from Brahman. This is why we can worship the Lord as male or female. The string of Sahasranamavali, 1000 names of any Devata, will invoke that particular Devata as the one who is the creator of everything, sustainer of everything, destroyer of everything. In other words, who is everything? Then for the Devi, the Maya Shakti, the goddess, the string of 1000 names will say the same thing. She is the creatrix, the sustainer and the destroyer of everything. In fact, she is everything. This is another way of looking at the fact there is only Ishvara. There is Ishvara from the standpoint of Shakti, power, and Ishvara without Shakti. To think of two different entities, Ishvara and Maya, has no meaning at all because Maya Shakti is not independent of Ishvara. Like the capacity to burn is not independent of fire, Maya Shakti is not independent of Brahman because it is the power of Brahman itself. From the standpoint of viewing Brahman as the cause of everything, you say Maya Sabalam Brahma, Brahman with the power Maya. But there is no problem of duality because one is Satya, the other is Mithya. And Satya plus Mithya is still one Satya. When you stand before a mirror and see your reflection, there appears to be two of you, two heads, two mouths to feed, and hundreds of other problems. But it is not so. There is only one you because you know that the reflection is Mithya. 1 plus 1 does not make 2 here. Even if you stand in a house of mirrors and see infinite reflections, yet there is only one you. The only difference is all the images in the mirror are identical, but in Ishvara Srishti, no two things look the same, not even two thumbs. The variety is infinite. Moreover, none of the reflections you see in the mirror is taken seriously. You cannot be detracted from or improved upon in a mirror. If you go to one upadhi, a concave mirror, and see yourself elongated, or you go to another upadhi, a convex mirror, and see yourself widened, you do not get alarmed, you are amused. Why? Because you know it is Mithya. If it were real, it would be a problem. Being Mithya, there is no problem. Mithya undergoes changes. Satya remains the same. It means in the Satya Vastu, there are no changes. Nama Rupas change, Vastu does not. It is the cause of all of them. It is the cause that never changes. Therefore, Paramatma plus Maya does not make two. One reality plus an infinite number of Nama Rupas is still one. From this standpoint alone, Bhagavan says, they dissolve into one. Only because of this, Mithya was it said, Matstani Sarva Bhutani, and from his own standpoint, Nacha Matstani Bhutani. Again he says, Kalpakshaye Sarva Bhutani, Mamikam Prakritim Yanti. Again, at the end of the Kalpa, all the beings resolve into my Prakriti. To say they go back to my Prakriti or they go back to me are both right, because Prakriti has no separate existence other than Ishvara. When it is proved that creation is Mithya, we have to accept a Mithya cause, which is Maya Upadhi, another word that is used for the Shakti of Brahman. Because of this alone, Brahman becomes the cause.
Can I read?
Ah,
Brahman, however, does not undergo any change and is therefore, as we have seen before, Vivarta Upadana Karana. Brahman is both the efficient and material cause. But how can Brahman be the material cause, which must necessarily undergo change to become this variegated world? Even though the creation is non-separate from this cause, from the cause, Brahman cannot undergo even an apparent change to create the world, to create this world. We saw that Brahman remains the same, and therefore we say it is Vivarta Upadana Karana. There are two types of Upadana Karana. One is Vivarta Upadana Karana, and the other is Parinami Upadana Karana. When a thing that is the material cause undergoes a change to become the effect, then it is called Parinami Upadana Karana. And if it does not undergo any change to become the effect, it is called Vivarta Upadana Karana. Now, from the standpoint of the world, Brahman is Vivarta Upadana Karana because it is the cause that does not undergo any change. Whatever changes that are necessary are undergone only by Maya. Therefore, Maya is the Parinami Upadana Karana for this world. If we say Brahman is the material cause, then it is Vivarta Upadana Karana. And if you say Maya is the material cause, it is Parinami Upadana Karana.
Maya can also be understood as Iva, which I have told before. Iva means as though.
yes.
As though the whole changing world, whatever we say, Nama Rupa and all that, it is only as though. From a perspective, it's available for modification and it is useful, resourceful, etc. You are able to transact with it. So it is called a material change and all that. But actually there it's only Iva. Because the material itself is only Iva, Maya meaning as though it exists. It's available for use, Vyavahara, it's available for transaction, but the reality is that changeless. So Parinami Upadana Karana can also, Maya can be equated with Iva. The word Iva, if you understand it, the import of it, it will be easy to comprehend in our mind. Iva means as though is the whole real, like even in the movie which we have been talking about. Yeah.
So, Brahman undergoes no change and at the same time makes all changes possible. It is like how the rope is the Vivarta Upadana Karana for the snake and consciousness is the Vivarta Upadana Karana for your dream. The dreamer is Chaitanya, the dream world is Chaitanya, and the dream experience is Chaitanya. Without the Chaitanya, there cannot be any creation, and therefore Chaitanya is Vivarta Upadana Karana, and your own memory becomes the Parinami Upadana Karana. Similarly, Brahman alone is the cause for the whole creation as Vivarta Upadana Karana, and Maya is the Parinami Upadana Karana. Thus, through the Upadhi, it becomes Nimitta Karana, efficient cause. Through the Upadhi, it becomes material cause, Upadana Karana. Verse 8. The Lord is also the efficient cause through this Maya Upadhi. Prakritim Swami Ramesvarananda Saraswathi Punah Punaha Bhuta Gramamimam Kritsna Mavasham Prakrite Vashat. Swam Prakritim, my own Prakriti, Avastapya, controlling, Punah Punaha, again and again, Imam Krishnam Bhuta Gramam, this entire group of beings, Avasham, necessarily, Prakriti Vasat, by the force of Prakriti, Visrjami I create. Keeping my own Prakriti under control again and again, I create this entire group of beings necessarily by the force of Prakriti. Visrijami punah punaha, again and again I create. After the dissolution at the end of each kalpa, I again create. Does that mean I undergo a change? No. Prakritim swam avastabhya, keeping my own Prakriti.
Avashtabhya. Both S and T has to be pronounced as Avashtabhya.
Prakritim swam avastabhya, keeping my own Prakriti, my own Maya Upadhi in my hands, I create. This is the difference between Jiva and Ishvara. Ishvara keeps Maya under his control. The Jiva comes under the spell of Maya or Avidya until he is released from it. Therefore the Lord says, keeping this Maya in my hands, I create again and again. Swam Prakritim Avastabhya Visrajami Punah Punaha. What does he create? Bhuta Grama Mimam Kritsnam, this entire group of Bhutas, meaning the whole Jagat. What is seen by you in this entirety? I create Aham Visrajami. You may ask, why do you do all that? Why do you do that? All my problems are only because I find myself in this creation. So why did you create all this? Due to the force of Prakriti alone, the creation takes place. Avasam means
Avasham means without any there is no design as such. It happens because Avasam also means Avashyam Bhavi you would have heard. In the sense, because of Karma Pala. It is all the karmas fructify and because anything you do has got a consequent. Again, science has today said, anything and everything you do, it has got a consequential effect somewhere. It's all predetermined. It is not that by design or something like that. So it is how, because there is only one Sat, there is only one being. The whole thing is only one being. So even our body politic, anything that happens, as I was telling, every movement, every word I speak, so many neurons are participating, so many cells are participating. Everything has got it was the continuous body politic. It's a single body politic. Likewise, the being, the reality also is a single body politic, and in which any change anywhere brings a corresponding change elsewhere. So, avasham is in the sense, it is not by it's not of your whims and fancies. It will happen. When it change you do, automatically it will have some other place, some other change. That is why it's called avasham. Yeah.
Avasham means
it is something that has to take place. Yeah.
That is, without any will on the part of Ishvara, this takes place. The question, why did God create the world, has been asked millions of times. Any answer is only imaginary. The stock answer is that it's all Bhagavan's Leela, a sport for the Lord. But why does Bhagavan need a sport, Leela? Is he restless, bored or lonely? If he is, then how can he be the Lord? He is as much a samsari as me, the Jiva. The Lord answers this question by saying that he did not really create anything at all. Only when he has created does he have to answer this question. In the next line, he is going to say that he did not create anything. Assuming that there is a creation, we can only say that it came about without any will on his part. How then did it come? Prakriti Vasat.
Prakriti Vasat. Yeah.
Vasat. Because of the force of Prakriti alone, the creation takes place. The nature of Prakriti is to create. Not only the Lord, but you can also say the same thing. Why do you think
there is one thing, we have been talking about manifestation and manifestation. But there is a slight difference as far as creation is concerned. In the sense, creation means there is a niyati, connecting one event to another event. Whatever happens, anything and everything is connected through an intelligent, reproducible, predictable, and within a paradigm, it is all reproducible, empirical. That's why it's called empirical. A titration, when you do it again and again under the same conditions, it will give the same result. The same color change will happen in the solutions, etc., chemically, physically, all those things. So, it's all happening within the paradigm. It all happens logically connected. That is why it's called creation. Otherwise, it is all one being, manifest and manifest, manifest and manifest. But within that, if you want to explain, then we call it creativity or design, order, etc. Those words come into play. Yeah.
Prakriti Vashat, because of the force of Prakriti alone the creation takes place. The nature of Prakriti is to create. Not only the Lord, but you could also say the same thing. Why do you think about a given thing at a particular time? It is by the force of the same Prakriti. If you say, I think, you have a problem. When you say Prakriti thinks, you have no problem. What is applicable right now here for you is also applicable to Bhagavan, because Atma is common and the Srishti is typical. A given thought is born in your head. That is a Srishti, even though you do not will to create a given thought. There is of course deliberate thinking, but what we are talking about here is a thought that just occurs in your head without your willing. Why did this particular thought occur? Why is it created? It takes place naturally. Prakriti Vashat.
Prakritehe Vashat.
Prakritehe Vashat. Your will is not involved. Then how can you assume responsibility for it? It is your thought, no doubt, but you have nothing to do with it because you have no will regarding it. This is true for a jnani or an ajnani. Both have nothing to do with the thought that occurs without any willing. So let it occur, and though there may be some cause, we are not concerned with it. It is Prakriti Vashat. An ajnani has another type of thought that is born of his own will. When he wills a given thought, then he will of course claim authorship for it. Because he has ahankara, he thinks he is creating the thought. The jnani will also have this type of thought, but he looks upon this so-called will as a part of Prakriti. In his vision, even while thinking, he does not think. Pashyan, Shrinvan, Sparshan.
You must read like this. Pashyan, Shrinvan, Spushan, Jigran, Asnan, Gachan. Naiva Kinchit Karomi Saha. That's what it says.
Touching, smelling, eating, walking, and so on, I perform no action at all.
This we have seen before, that in the fifth chapter. Yeah.
What? Fifth chapter?
Fifth chapter. 5, 8, 9. So that is basically explaining that all which I have told also before, everything is a phenomenal. We think that we do things, actually work happens. Whereas we are only nimitta matram, savyasachi. That is how it is. That is how we have to look at. And whatever, even a thought that comes, is prajahati yata kaman sarvan partha manavatan. Just like a movie, thoughts will keep coming in the mind. But in that, whatever is relevant, just for the situation, appropriate to the given situation, you take it and act upon it. But don't worry about the thought. Thought comes. That is part of the Prakriti. It is how the thing is. So just allow it to happen. Don't take ownership. I am thinking. No. Thinking happens. And the eating happens. Digesting happens. Like in your body politics, so many things are happening right now. 100 different activities are going on in our body right now. So many cells are functioning. It is not because you are doing anything. It's all happening. It's all part of the Prakriti. That we must be very alert to that. Then the aham, mama, buddhi will not be there. In the sense, I will not take ownership that it's me, mine, and all that. Then everything, reality understanding will help you to live properly as per dharma. That's what he is trying to say. It's all connected. Yeah.
We shall read. This is the difference between. You want to read, uncle? Yeah, I will read.
Yeah.
Yes. This is the difference between the ajnani and jnani. Both have the experience of finding themselves with an unsolicited thought. Prakriti Vasat. Prakriti Vasat.
Vasat. Yeah.
Prakriti Vasat. The ajnani thinks that he created the thought because he thinks he is a karta. Thus, the confusion is further compounded. He assumes responsibility for the very thought that occurs without his will and feels guilty about it. Then, through therapy, etc., he tries to develop some kind of a distance, but he still has ahankara. Therefore, the problem is going to recur in one form or another. But there is also a deliberate thinking on his part, for which he will certainly claim authorship, because he has the notion, I am an author, ajnani, jnani.
No, because he has the notion, I am the author. Now, In contrast, a jnani, read.
A jnani, however, has eliminated the notion that he is the author of any action by seeing that Atma is Akarta. If Atma is Akarta, then because of the force of Prakriti alone, thoughts happen. There is no willing or wishing or any kind of action. All this just take place, and it is as though I do something and as though I do not do anything. It is as though things take place of their own accord. Prakrite vasat.
So this is what I was telling. This as though within these inverted commands is Iva. It is in Shastra also, it's called Iva, equivalent to Maya. As though it's all happening. Because what happens is, when there is a pattern, in the sense, it all depends on the samskara, there is a pattern of thinking. Like because of the past and all association and all that, suppose a person who is a footballer, his thoughts will be something connected to football and all, even when he is waking a dream and all that. Suppose somebody is an actor, he will be thinking about his roles or something like that. So, Prakritehe Vasat meaning it's all connected, like past action and all that. That's what we call samskara. Sometimes something bad means prarabdha we say, otherwise if we are neutral we say samskara. Okay, but whether it is prarabdha or samskara, whatever it is all from the past, from the Prakriti. It has nothing to do with, if you are alive to the present and the presence, the being, then you will not say it is my thought or my Prakriti or my prarabdha and all that. It is all there. The prarabdha, it happens in the mind. Prajahati yata kaman. The second chapter, clinching sloka parasthita prajna, we have to remember all the time. Prajahati yata kaman sarvan partha manogatan. Whatever thoughts have come because of prarabdha, prakriti, whatever you call it, will keep coming. Don't take ownership, authorship, but my thought and aham mama buddhi, don't have it. Just take from that, keep your will. Atmani atmana tushtaha, the person who is happy in himself, the being, the person, the basic being, will act according to the situation, whatever, to that extent he understands, to that extent he can do. Kaya nanachikaradhu. Like nimitta matram bhava savya. Atmani atmana tushtaha is called sthita prajnaha ta uchyate. That person is a steady person who understands life totally. That is how we have to look at the whole thing. That is what he is trying to say. Yeah.
Swamiji, I have one question. Some of the previous paragraphs. The Mahavakya Tattvamasi is taken from which Upanishad?
Tattvamasi is from Chandogya only, no? Ekena mritpindena sarvam nirmayam. Tattvamasi, Swetaketu, the Uddalaka teaches his son Swetaketu. Tattvamasi is the famous Chandogya 6th chapter.
Satchitanandam is derived from that or what?
No, Satchitanandam is same thing, but it is not a Mahavakya, it is a reality and a word. Satchitananda is a reality word of Tat as well as Tvam. This is the only reality. There is no second reality. There is only one reality, that is Sat, that is Chit. Sat is isness, awareful being, which I have been telling. Sat is being, Chit is awareful in the sense, like what you are telling, everything connected, all those things, what is the connection and all that, that is knowledge, creative, or you can call it intelligence, Bharupam, Chit, Chaitanyam, whatever you call it. So, Sat, Chit, Ananda. Ananda meaning is a Purushartha, its meaning is Ananta. Ananta means it is endless, it is not bound by time or bound by space, so it is always there. So, the Satyam and the Chaitanyam, the intelligence is not limited. It is the limitation is removed from the word Chaitanyam or intelligence by giving the word Anantam. And the same way, the limitation in terms of Satyam. Satyam we generally say Satyam within certain parameters. No, the parameters, limitations are removed. That is why it's called Anantam Satyam, Anantam Chaitanyam is called Satchit Ananda or Satchit Ananta. Ananta eva Ananda, because Ananda is a Purushartham. Purushartham meaning that's what we want in life. We want to be all the time in any situation happy, and we want to be there all the time. Sranjeevi Arpanam. So that all our objectives are all the three. We want to be there all the time I should know everything and I should be there happy all the time. So that is our Purushartham. Purushartham meaning that is what the purpose of human life is. So that is what is captured in one word. Satchit Ananda is your Sarupam. That is how it is. Yeah.
Krishna says the same thing. This creation just takes place. This is the answer to the question why the creation, the karmas of all the jivas form the prakriti. When pralaya comes to an end, those karmas have to find their expression and the manifest creation begins at the beginning of the kalpadav.
Kalpadav. Adav means beginning. Kalpadav, yeah.
Beginning, okay. Kalpadav. Bhagavan brings the creation into being, keeping the prakriti under his control. Prakriti swam avastabhya. It means that he does not come under the spell of prakriti, but this I is Satchit Ananda Atma, which does not will anything to happen. Then who wills? In the presence of Bhagavan, with reference to the Prakriti, there is a will. It is said in the Taittiriya Upanishad as Kamayata.
No, you have to read it like this. So Kamayata Bahusyam Prajayeti. So Kamayata means Saha Akamayata. Saha means that Bhagavan or that Parampurul. That pronoun is used because it is with reference to what has gone before in the Upanishad. Saha, that Bhagavan, Akamayata meaning he thought of, he just thought. Then Bhusyam Prajayeti meaning let the world be. That's all. Everything the world came into being. That is how creation is explained in Taittiriya Upanishad. Yeah.
So Kamayata Bhusyam Prajayeti, like that, na?
Yes.
He desired. May become many. Now, one can ask, why should he desire? Then we have to say that the desiring is also from the point of view of the Prakriti alone. Prakritehe
Vashat. We have seen it before. Prakritehe Vashat. Yeah.
Prakritehe Vasat. From the standpoint of Prakriti, Atma seemingly desires. That is why Bhagavan says, keeping Prakriti under my control, Prakritim Swam Avastabhya. S and T has to be pronounced as Isht. Avastabhya, okay. Avastabhya. Without his willing, purely due to Prakriti, this creation takes place. And it is a creation of great variety because the jivas have to undergo many different kinds of experiences according to the karmas they have earned. Because of that, there are varieties of bodies with their own unique Sukshma Sarira, all created according to karma of jivas. Now, there arises another question here. When according to their Punya Papa karmas, they are given bodies and situations, etc. How is Bhagavan doing anything? When a king gives money, protection, punishment, etc., according to the services and attitudes of the children, he seems to be the one meting out punishments and reward. The same philosophy extends to Bhagavan. If you do the right thing, you are rewarded. If you do not do the right thing, you are punished. Even a dog is trained like that. If a person is well behaved, he is a beneficiary, and if not, he is adversely affected. By doing what is proper, one is born in a good family. One is born in a good family, has a good body, and everything goes well for him. Another person is born in a situation full of disadvantages. Each person is affected by his own dharma and adharma, which are subject to his choice. Whenever there is a choice, there is definitely kartritva, doership. Bhagavan has no such problem because everything that is happening is due to Prakriti. He does not really participate in anything. When he says, I do not create anything at all, the word I refers to Sachitananda, Atma, and that is the only Atma there is. And that is the only Atma there is in the presence of this Atma.
No. That is the only Atma there is. That is the only thing that is. Yeah.
There is the answer. In the presence of this Atma, Prakriti takes care of everything. There is some more point to be understood here, and that is, without this presence of Satchitatma, the Prakriti cannot be anything. If we say so, then we will be saying that Sankhya's propound, that is Prakriti does everything and Atma remains unconnected. But that is not acceptable. Prakriti and Paramatma are not two parallel realities. Prakriti is not independent of Paramatma. It is superimposed upon Paramatma, entirely depending upon Paramatma for its existence. Prakriti itself cannot create. Atma also cannot create by itself. They somehow come together to bring about this creation. But they are not two different entities enjoying the same degree of reality. One is Satya, the other is Mithya. So there continues to be only one. If this is not understood, we will end up with duality. That is why Lord Krishna can say, Lord Krishna says, I created everything, I did not create anything. If it is not understood, it sounds like a contradiction.
And also, if you understand, in that there itself Bhagavan has told, if you understand, you can also say the same thing. I created everything and I did not create anything. In the sense, the same thing is applicable to us. If we understand that we are Atma, then what is there is only presence. Everything is like a movie. Whatever happened in the past, whatever happened in the future, around and all that, they are available for transaction. But I am changeless. That we can also say if we understand the reality of I, the being, is equal to the reality of I, the Ishvara. Both that has to be understood time and again. We have to revise and get to know of that. Yeah.
In this creation, there is a great deal of pain. Bhagavan seems to be responsible for all this. He created man with a wonderful body, senses and mind, and at the same time, he created some mosquitoes, etc. to torment him. The human being has to fight against unknown sources of pain throughout his life. The one who created this pain must necessarily be affected by all this. Bhagavan says, no, whatever the creation is, it is all due to the force of Prakriti. Prakrite vasat. Prakritehe vasat. And I am not involved in it. These karmas do not affect me at all. So Krishna says here, verse 9.
Yeah, we will go for verse 9 tomorrow.
I'll just read out the verse and we will go for the verse tomorrow. Shall I do?
Yeah, do.
Nacha mamtani karmani nibadnanti dhananjaya udasina vadasina masaktam teshu karmasu.
Udasinavad asinam asaktam teshu karmasu. Yeah. We will see it tomorrow. Om.
Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamada